All right, thank you for joining us. My name is Mary Myers. I'm the Director of Business Development. And again, thanks for joining and attending our webinar on Economic Development 411. It's always nice to be able to talk a little bit more about what we do at the LSCP. So if you have any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to submit those in the question box, and then I will get to them at the end. So I'm going to jump right in. So what truly is the definition of economic development? It's improving the economic well-being of a community through efforts in job creation, job retention, tax base enhancement, and quality of life. And then what it really is all about is generating wealth in the community. This graph here gives a really good overview of where we fit with the wealth creation, how it works and how it works in the community. At the top, you'll see the wealth creators. These are those individuals who create direct jobs into the area and provide investment and capital. And then the EDOs, like the LSCP, we help work with the wealth creators to attract businesses. We help them with startup, retain them, and then in the end, that brings money into the community. Then going through the funnel, you'll see the circulation of that money. Things like other organizations are created to help circulate the local spending in the community. One of the items that we don't really help with in the funnel is the exportation of money. This really happens with the big box stores like Target and Walmart. While they create the jobs and an investment in the community, majority of their money gets exported back to their headquarters, which unfortunately are out of the area. And then typically these are more organic and formula-based. These are based on specific marketing strategies, and we usually don't have a say in attracting one of them. They do most of their research internally. The wealth creation, this graph shows a quick snapshot of how wealth creation works. It starts on the top with the full-time jobs with benefits, which are always important to the community. And then it moves to increasing household buying and income. This is when people are out in the community spending money, buying more cars, going to dinner. And then that attracts more retailers and other business owners because they see that there's a market in the area. It then goes into generating sales tax revenue, which goes to our local municipalities, who provide us with our local amenities that we expect from them, like police, fire, parks, trails, which then shows that we have a quality place to live and leads to more attraction of companies. And then the cycle just starts all over again. So there are different types of economic development. One is business retention and expansion. This is really where the LSCP focuses majority of our time, and that's where most economic developers do. So 80% of growth, it comes from within the community. It's an easy way, it's easy to always get a company to stay and expand than it is to get a new company to come to the area. Typically, you'll see about 10 to 20% work done in startups, and then attraction about 5 to 10%, and that's always the most expensive and competitive part of economic development. So now I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about BRE, or business retention and expansion. Again, this is where we spend majority of our time. So just as you would expect, BRE is just what it says it is. It's to maintain and grow existing businesses and jobs in Marquette County. This is where we help businesses overcome challenges, help them expand, or just take advantage of opportunities that are available to them. As many business owners know, it's harder to go and try to find a new customer than it is to retain the ones you have. And that's the same for the business community. I touched on most of these, but again, 80% of growth comes from within your community. Attraction's expensive and very competitive. And if you're not doing BRE and retaining companies, attraction won't work because new businesses look at your area when they're looking to expand there. And if they see that a current business isn't doing well, then they're going to eliminate your location right off the bat. So BRE and attraction efforts really work hand in hand. And then it also, BRE, it connects local businesses, and it also, if you have a recent win, it helps you bring in a local company and keep them engaged in the community. In the metric and data world that we live in, we want to be able to tell our story through data. So some of the examples of metrics that we use are shown here. We do get these from meeting with our businesses and being out and about in the community. When we look to more anecdotal ways to measure, we use testimonials, positive feedback. We look to our ambassadors of the region to help share success stories. And then we also look to the referrals that we get through our clients we've worked with. So another part of economic development is the entrepreneurship, which is the startup businesses, which is about 10 to 20% of your services usually in an EDO. It's really just turning an idea or a dream into a potential business. Services needed here are typically capital, training, technical assistance, network and marketing. These are all items that we can help a startup with at the LSCP. We can help you file your paperwork with the state, get your sales tax ID, and really help make connections through our network to other organizations who can provide funding or additional items. Business attraction, like I said, it's the hardest, it's most competitive, it's the one that always hits the front page of the newspaper or the news. It's bringing new companies into the area. The definition is the process of inventorying the community and translating the findings into a plan to attract companies that will diversify and build the local regional economy. So when you talk about attraction, you have to talk about it more of as a marathon, not a sprint. It has a low return on investment. You need to talk to your community to manage the expectations. Sometimes these projects can take years to complete, and most of the time you may not even make it past the first round, as there are thousands of other locations around the country competing for that same business to come to their town. So one thing that we do in attraction is we work with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, which is our state's EDO. And what they do is they work with site selectors, and site selectors are individuals who work for businesses to help them find where they should locate their business to expand. So for example, if ABC Company is looking for a new facility to manufacture shoes, then ABC Company would work with a site selector to narrow down their search to a short list of places the company can choose from that meet all of their needs. One of the best and easiest ways for us to work with site selectors is through the MEDC. So most of the time, site selectors will work at the state level with organizations like the MEDC with a request for proposal, just to help them cut out receiving multiple locations from EDOs, and it allows them to get the information they need from one source. Most of the time, we don't even know who the business is that sent the RFP, but we'll be given general information on sites and buildings that they're looking for, and that's where we get these metrics from. As you can see, last year we received 32 RFPs, which that's pretty similar to what we got the year before. And if we had a building or a piece of land that met the requirements of the site selector, then we'll submit those to the MEDC for them to look at. So in 2021, we had 32. but only qualified for 2 out of the 32 we got, and we did have 2 pieces of property that could be submitted, so we did that. Business attraction, it's a lot of what we do are under these 3 different categories. So lead development, which is what I just described with the site selectors. We also use a site selector database that breaks down site selectors by the categories and sectors that they work in. So when we have a particular space available, we know who to target. Then there are site selector events where it's like speed dating. You'll be given a time to speak with each site selector where you'll sit down with them and then talk to them about your community and what you have to offer. The uphill battle that we continue to have is people really know Michigan, but when they think of Michigan, they think of Detroit, Grand Rapids, and Flint, but not really a lot of other places. So we have to break it down. We have to break down the perception of what we have in the Upper Peninsula and what the rest of Michigan is like. Marketing and public relations, we do a variety of different things with the media, such as press releases. We also do quarterly e-blasts to site selectors to keep them up to date with what's going on in the community, and show them available buildings and new incentives that are out there. Project development, we do work with the state with RFPs, which I just mentioned, site selectors or site searches. If someone calls us looking for a specific square footage or acreage of land, we do have all that readily available with our Zoom Prospector database, which I'll talk about a little bit later. We do package our proposals when we respond to an RFP as we collaborate with other businesses in the community. So we may not have all the supplies that are needed, but maybe one of our neighbors have what's needed. So we work together in that way. So this is an example of the site selector database that I talked about, where you can focus on specific site selectors in certain industries. So for instance, if we were working on a project for energy, we could use this tool to pull site selectors that focus in the energy industry. We do a newsletter to the site selectors every month, so they know of the opportunities in the UP. These may include when a property becomes available, or even when we have some bad news to share, such as maybe when the mine idled. That was a perfect opportunity to show that we had available workforce in the area. And this particular one, we highlighted something fun with Eagle Mine participating in the Guinness World Record, and also our ranking for business startups in Michigan. This is an example of a proposal that we put together for an RFP. We include information on the area, so where the property is, what the demographics, tax info is from where that property is at. This is Zoom Prospector. This is the database that we use to showcase all properties that we have for sale or lease in the UP. This tool automatically uploads properties from the MLS database, and then if there are properties that are for sale or leased by owner, I manually put those in. We want this to be as up-to-date as possible because site selectors don't call us right off the bat. They typically go check out the economic developer's website first to see what's available. Another really cool part of this tool is it can be used as a data source. So if you're looking for demographic info or occupational info, that can all be pulled here as well. So this slide just shows what we did at the LSCP in 2021. Like every other business in the country, this was last year was another unique year. As a result of the pandemic, we did see a large increase in startup businesses. We usually see around 10 to 15%, and last year we saw 31%. That's where a lot of our work went last year. 63% of our clients were with business retention and expansion, and then we had 6% we focused on attraction. So public policy really does have an impact on economic development because it has an impact on business. And so one thing that we do is we make sure we're the eyes and ears for the region. Most larger companies have someone who can do this for them, but smaller companies don't have the capacity to do that. So we do that for them. We track proposed legislation and educate our partners on what's going on. We also will communicate our position on issues to legislators and department heads as they come up, because taking a stand on an issue doesn't do anything unless we have a voice and advocate that. A few ways that we do that is through the Marquette County Ambassadors. They are an organization under the LSCP umbrella. They are a group of 30 leaders across the county who work on community and regional legislative issues. They focus on topics in education, infrastructure, healthcare, etc. And they put talking points together to use when they make their 2 trips to Lansing to advocate on behalf of the UP every year. With COVID, the last 2 trips were done virtually, but I'm actually currently planning their first in-person trip for the end of this month. So we're excited about that. We also belong to the Northern Michigan Chamber Alliance, which consists of multiple organizations pretty much knuckles up. This helps us elevate our voice. The UP is 3% of the population, so working with like-minded individuals in Northern Michigan, it makes our voice that much stronger. The group actually represents about 7,000 businesses through the Northern Lower and Marquette County. We have a government relations task force that's now hybrid with its part with the ambassador group, that they look at issues and bring recommendations to the LSCP board on what we should support and oppose. So here's a list of the policy issues that we worked on last year, and it shows how we track the policy issues. We will follow it all the way until the end to see if it passes, fails, or if a bill might die, for instance, in lame duck. You may also see letters of support that we worked on in here, but one thing that I will mention is we do not endorse candidates. It's one thing that we don't do. So talent is one of the top issues with businesses that we meet with right now, to nobody's surprise. A few things we're doing in talent is meeting with businesses to understand what they need to do, what needs to be done to help support them and keep them here. We need to have a workforce pool when it comes to attracting new businesses, and then meet the needs of individuals of those who want working in the community. We look at how we can keep people from leaving the area so their earnings stay here, and we collaborate with our workforce partners like Michigan Works, Stang's Decision Systems, and Manpower. Some of the things that we have a handle on from meeting with businesses are helping promote jobs, which we do with Job of the Week through our social media. We have training programs like the Electrical Line Tech program out at Sawyer, where we work with industry partners and NMU. We work with the Career Tech Education. We do quarterly talent newsletters to talk about what's happening in talent and new initiatives taking place. And then we also have a Workforce Insight tool, which I will go over in a couple slides here. So some other basics in economic development, incentives. You may hear a lot about incentives, which has been a battle in the media for years. You may have heard them called corporate welfare, but if they are done, if they're not done correctly, but they can benefit a community by bringing a project to the area. They don't make a bad deal good, they make a good deal better. So it's a way to think of them. So some incentives that we've worked with locally are tax abatements, loan guarantees, deal closing funds. And deal closing funds are more popular in the South, particularly in like Texas, where if a company is looking at another state, they'll come in and write a check to get that business to come to Texas. It's something that Michigan used to do, but they stopped doing that when they changed the business rate to a flat business tax rate. We help with different types of grants, training dollars, and technical assistance. The last 3 were huge during the pandemic. So with all of that information, how does the LSCP fit into it all? It's through the services that we provide. We have services to help a business from startup all the way to succession planning. Staff has the resources and tools to help businesses with business plan creation, talent enhancement, site location, data and research, grant writing, strategic planning, and financing through our county's EDC. If you go onto our website, marquette.org, you will see the full list of services we provide. We'll work with anybody and everybody. You don't have to be an investor, but we do hope that later down the road that you're seeing the benefits of what we provide and that you'll be able to join the partnership. But most of the services that we provide are free or have a low cost. MZ, this is an internal tool that we have. We use this tool to do our county data booklet every year. It can give projections on industry, population, really you name it, it can do it. We also use this tool, lately we've been using it a lot to pull wage studies for businesses with the talent shortage. So if you're looking for any type of data, we can help you. Workforce Insight, this tool is part of MZ, but it can actually help businesses attract alumni back to the area, or even help see where you should be doing talent fairs. The tool pulls from over 100 million social profiles like Indeed, LinkedIn, Monster, so you can actually see resume level data to help you with your talent needs. InPlan, it's a newer service that we have. We launched it a little bit prior to the pandemic, but this tool allows us to do economic impact studies for businesses or events. We did provide a study for the UP 200 in 2019 so that they could show their donors how much of an impact the event had on the community. These reports break down so you can see the benefits to the local tax base, the state, or even just how it's affecting businesses in the area, or certain industries, I should say, not businesses. There's a small fee that's associated with these reports, but if it's something that's of interest, definitely reach out. In the end, it's really all about building relationships. That's the way that we do business, by working with our board and building relationships with legislators and other EDOs around the state. It helps us with challenges that we may not have the answer to. We've been really lucky to have investors in a network that we do in economic development up here. And with that, I know that was a lot of information, but I'd encourage you to share that information with businesses, or if you know a business who's struggling, please send them our way. And that's what we're here for, is to help them. So I'm going to see if any questions came in. So I'm not seeing any that came in, but if anything comes up after this, please don't hesitate to reach out. All of our contact information is on our website. Thank you again for joining us, and I hope the rest of you have a good rest of the afternoon.